What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the Texas Rangers report. Sorry about the lighting, it isn't the best, but at least we have content coming to you guys. And if this is your first time watching the Texas Rangers report, make sure to subscribe right now because I'm your number one source for all things Texas Rangers related on YouTube. But also make sure to join the Discord. That link will be in the description down below. We talk live game chats for Rangers, news, rumors, draft, etc. But today we are going to be going over the recent mock draft by Jim Callis. Obviously the draft is a few months away, but we're getting close. So it makes sense to start covering draft content in general. And Jim Callis had the Texas Rangers taking catcher Kevin Parada with the 3rd overall pick in the draft. And just so you guys know, Holliday was already off the board, and so was Druw Jones. But apparently, what Jim Callis said is that the Rangers are really interested in Druw Jones and Holliday. That would be a different approach to what they've done the past 3 drafts now. They've taken polished college players, Josh Young in 2019, Justin Foskey in 2020, and Jack Leiter in 2021. But who knows if Holliday or Druw Jones will even be on the board. The Rangers will still get a good pick of who they want. And if they were to pick Kevin Parada, he's the 6th overall prospect according to MLB.com. So he's somewhere around the 60 overall. And this would be another polished college player. He has 60 hit tool, a 60 power. The question with Kevin Parada is, will he be able to stick at catcher? He has drawn some questionable remarks from the catcher position, and that's honestly probably why he's not going to go number 1 overall. And for me, I don't think this is a terrible pick if we were to go with him, because obviously you have a great hitter, but you just don't have any defensive versatility. Obviously, if you were to go with Holliday, he could play shortstop, but we know a lot of infielders sometimes transition to the outfield, just like Joey Gallo, or they could be an IKF type of guy where they can play all around the infield. But with a catcher, I don't really get that versatility, and if he's already drawing questions on his defense, then that would be a big concern. Obviously, you could probably play him at first base like Sam Huff is doing in the majors. Or, I don't know, because obviously, I don't know what the next best position for a catcher to move to if he can't continue being a catcher. Obviously, it makes sense that infielders are able to move because you just have to catch fly balls in the outfield. Or if you're a shortstop, you could probably handle 3rd or 2nd base. But if you're a catcher, not necessarily the case. Maybe first base. But even if you're an outfielder, you're probably just going to be an outfielder or a first baseman your entire career. Because if you've gotten your entire career fielding fly balls, going into second base would probably be pretty difficult unless you're Mookie Betts, because that's something he can do. I know what you guys probably understand what I'm trying to get at. So Kevin Parada has flown up the draft boards because he can hit. But if Druw Jones or Holliday are off the board, most likely Druw Jones will be. We may have a chance at Holliday, the shortstop from Stillwater High School. He has flown up draft boards as well. He's actually only an hour and a half away from where I live. But if those guys are off the board, and apparently the Rangers are super interested, I would just look at Brooks Lee, the shortstop from Cal Poly. There is concerns if Brooks Lee can stay at the shortstop position, but I mean, he's a 65 hit tool player, 55 power. The defense is all right, but the thing is with Brooks Lee, you could easily move him to 3rd base, where he's a decent runner, has a 55 arm, 50 field, and he's already weighing around 205 pounds, kind of similar to Corey Seager. Seager's a bigger shortstop, but the thing is, you can move Brooks Lee to 3rd base, you can move him to 2nd base, 1st base, outfield. That's why I like taking infielders or a pitcher, because pitchers help your team, but there's not a lot of pitchers in this draft class. That's why I'm not too concerned with the surplus of infield talent already in the Rangers farm system. You have guys like Davis Wenzel, Sherman Apostle, Maximo Acosta, Josh Smith, Luis Angel Acuna. Those are a lot of infield prospects, but I'm not worried because infielders have the easiest transition to another position, whether it's a shortstop going to second or a shortstop going to third or a second baseman going to first or any of those guys going to the outfield. I just don't see any other position being able to make that transition as easy. But also, versatility is such a big thing in today's game. Obviously, in the past, like you would have a roster and you'd stick with them for pretty much the entire season. But with as much rest as players are getting and as much platooning that there's going on in the major leagues and how much Chris Woodward likes to use his bench, it makes sense to grab a versatile player. So if Druw Jones were to fall to us, I'm going to say this right now, I think that's the next 5-tool player coming out of the draft, just like Bobby Witt. Maybe the chance to be another Mike Trout. Obviously, that's a lot to live up to, but there's a lot of bloodlines with both Jackson Holliday and Druw Jones. I said it before that I didn't think Druw Jones has the best hit tool, but I think my consensus is starting to change on that. Obviously, you still have some work to do, but I think he's a safer bet than Elijah Green. Both of them 5-tool players if everything hits, but I'm more concerned about Elijah Green's hit tool than Druw Jones. But, I mean, he's probably going to be off the board. We have a good chance to draft Jackson Holliday, the shortstop from Stillwater High School. And since the Rangers are interested in those two players, there's a good chance we would take one of those two. But still a whiles away from the draft. Things can change. And honestly, I think I'd still take Brooks Lee over Jackson Holliday because you have a guy that's hit at the college level. He has a closer timetable to reach the majors for the Rangers. And obviously you want to take the best player available, but we're going to be trying to compete in the next year or two. So if he can be on that club, that would be awesome. But also, obviously there's other scenarios like over slot money, under slot. That's why Henry Davis went number 1 overall to the Pirates last year. Wasn't the best player in the draft. They're just trying to save money to spend in later rounds. I'm curious how the Rangers will approach that since we don't have a second-round pick or a third-round pick because of the signings of Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Do they want to just say, okay, this is our best chance to get a player, so let's go over slot? Or would they be trying to save some money for the later rounds? Maybe guys that sneak through and the Rangers can give them that over slot money in the later rounds. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. The Rangers are projected to draft Kevin Parada from Jim Callis' mock draft because Jackson Holliday and Druw Jones were off the board. We'll see what happens around draft time, but I'm still high on Brooks Lee. And if he's there and you have to choose between him or Jackson Holliday, I'd probably go Brooks Lee. But if Druw Jones is there, I think it's a no-brainer for the Rangers. So let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.